if things aren't going great, you can become a villain.
You can become a villain.
Look, and in a way want to be philanthropic.
That was a good big word, honey.
I'm pretty sure I butchered that.
You turned it on.
That's
and I
why
was
that
like,
hasn't sold.
Yeah, we were like, nope, not getting it.
There are many toys that make noises. Listen. This is the Entrepreneurial Podcast. We're going to upload an episode every Wednesday. Check it out if you want. Check it out if you don't. We're here in Alaska talking about entrepreneurial topics here in the last frontier.
Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial Podcast. I'm Kelly Nagel.
And I'm Bacon Bagel.
I'm Bacon Bagel. And that's Josiah Nagel. We are on episode 15.
15.
15.
Lucky number.
Oh, lucky number 15. Yeah, so I wanted to start out by saying, and I snuck it in there, didn't write it in our notes, honey. Happy belated birthday.
Oh.
Yeah. Thought I'd put it out there.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, because we each have a birthday every year. You can't avoid those, right?
Nope.
Okay, so interesting. Last week, I asked you a would you rather question regarding outer space and I don't know if I could say planets plural because one technically wasn't a planet. But anyways, so go check out that one if you want to know what I'm talking about. But this is kind of going also into fantasy world of like things that we see a lot of, but you may never interact with.
Ooh, okay.
Would you rather be a superhero or be a villain?
Ooh.
See where I'm getting at?
Didn't we do this before?
No.
Oh, maybe we did. No, we did superpowers. You did one that was, would you rather have?
No, I did.
The ability to fly? Or?
No, I did. Would you rather be a wizard or a ninja?
Oh, that was it.
Yeah.
Okay, superhero versus villain. Okay, pros and cons. Villains often have better powers, but they often die
And lose.
I think that's true. They have short-term success. Superheroes, they don't usually die. They're just kind of there forever. Now, there's some exceptions to that. We've recently been watching through the Marvel Avengers, all of that universe. And think about all the bad guys that come and go.
Yeah.
Even Thanos, the ultimate bad guy.
Well, don't give it away.
Everybody knows that.
Well, hopefully you've seen all of them.
He's the ultimate bad guy behind most of the issues.
In the Marvel universe?
In that entire universe. He has a demise. Most of the good guys don't. There's a couple that do. I won't give away all the spoilers.
Yeah, please don't.
But I think I would go with superhero. You get some cool powers or abilities, whatever that might be. Like in the case of what is a superhero? In the case of Iron Man, there's nothing really super about him.
Yeah.
Other than he's good at inventing tech stuff.
And basically made himself powers.
Kind of like Batman, right?
Batman. Yeah.
They're more or less regular humans that are really smart and have money to create tech and stuff that makes them super. But then you got people like Captain America that physically something about their body or mind has been altered from the normal human physique. Same thing with Hulk. I would go with superhero. Yeah.
Yeah,
because the villains almost always lose.
You'd rather be the winner.
Yeah. And,
just for that reason.
And you know what's cool about being a superhero? You can, if things aren't going great, you can become a villain.
You can become a villain.
Look at Loki. He's a good example. He flip-flops back and forth.
He's like,
depending on which movie you watch.
Today I want to be. Well, too, I was thinking about it and realizing a lot of the superheroes are just defensive players, right? They don't actually pull out their powers and stunts to do crazy cool things just because. I mean, sure, they like might fly around and stuff. That's not necessarily what I'm referring to, though. Like, they don't start the fight. They're just on the defense. Typically the villain is the one going around like on the offense, like, let me ruin this or get that for whatever selfish motive.
Yeah.
So it is interesting, like, that concept there.
Now that you've said that, another thing with it is when you're a superhero, you're kind of expected to be a civil servant of some type, doing good for your community and your nation.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Yeah, because what if you want to just live a normal life?
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't think like that.
Not quite going along with what I just said, but look at The Incredibles.
Oh, right. Like, they can't necessarily hide, or it's really hard to hide.
Yeah, it was who they were, and it was hard for them to give up helping others. Even though that's what they were being told to do. But I think you're not going to have a normal life either way, as a superhero or as a villain. But perhaps as a villain, your powers and abilities are more secretive and you could hide them more.
I guess, yeah. Well, but then, too, you also become more of like a loner. And unless somebody's looking as a villain, is somebody's looking to like that same motive that you have to destroy that thing or steal that item or whatever it is.
Yeah, I guess that's not necessarily true, my line of thought there, because you have superheroes like Batman and Spider-Man and
that don't ultimately,
I guess even the Hulk to an extent, whose identities are hidden, and then when they put on the mask, they become a different person in the eyes of those around them. But they built up that expectation for themselves that they would help others.
Right. Which I think is smart in those, if you have the skills and necessarily the necessities required of whatever activity, why not do what's best for your community? But yeah, I can see the con to that being, yeah, you can never necessarily get out of the public eye. Anybody sees you, you're just kind of always there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think ultimately I'd go with superhero. There's pros and cons to each. I'd probably, if there was a third option, stay who you are, I might go with that.
Stay who you
'Cause
are.
I kind of am a superhero already.
Oh my goodness. You are, honey.
Yeah, that's right. I knew it. Someone thinks I am.
You are. You really are.
She's lying to me.
I am
But if
not.
you have to choose between superhero and villain, I'd go superhero. I think most people would.
Yeah, I mean, who wants to be the villain and doing all the bad things?
Villains in general seem to get cooler or more powerful abilities. It just doesn't always play out well for them in the end. But superhero, final answer, locking it in.
Locking it in.
Was I right? Did I get it right?
Right. I guess. Sure, we'll go with yes.
Excellent.
Well, last episode, we also did a would you rather question as normal. But besides that, we covered some interesting business news. The new tax deadline in the United States, who just became the number one in apparel sales in the U.S., which was pretty crazy, and then who they surpassed as well. Where one major company is taking their work environment and how that could affect others, other industries, others in that same market. Yeah, that was a pretty interesting conversation about all of that. And then your favorite.
The stimmy
bill. The stimulus bill. And how we suggest you consider spending your money. Where to spend it, how to break that down. Yeah.
Yeah, I was... if you don't know where or how your stimulus money, or if you're eligible for it, is coming from, or when, or where,
or how, or why,
who, what, you can go to the IRS website, just like all the previous times. I think probably chances are, however you got the previous payment, you'll get it the same way. But they can estimate when you'll get it, if that's something you are waiting at the mailbox for, which you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
This episode, we're going to talk about how to get other people's stimulus money.
No. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, by
I guess you can talk about it like
selling
that.
them stuff. I have noticed on Amazon.com, one of my favorite websites, I think people are spending their stimulus checks on not their rent and on
not necessities,
their Amazon wish list.
Yeah.
And if you want to know why I think that could be dangerous to your financial journey, check out our last episode. But I won't stop you from buying the stuff I sell on Amazon. Please buy specifically what I'm selling.
Oh my goodness. But I guess it kind of goes what we're talking about, but really we're going to be talking about knowing your market and cash flow. But I will stipulate this. If you are just listening in and you're not a business owner, but you want to become one, or you're just interested in these types of conversations, you just have to realize you do interact with businesses almost daily. So it's great to know this info or just great to apply to your own life, especially the cash flow one, which we'll get into how you can apply that to your personal life without having to do anything with business. But let's start with knowing your market.
Yeah. So
what does that mean? Why are we talking about it?
I think sometimes I get a little frustrated when people say, oh, you gotta shop small business. Oh, you gotta shop black-owned business or whatever. Because I don't think that's how capitalism works or should work or how our U.S. market works. I'm going to shop at the place that provides the item I want at the best price or with the best customer service, depending on what I'm looking for.
Or best quality if it's like an item.
And perhaps in some rare circumstances, I will go out of my way to spend money somewhere that doesn't meet those needs if I really like that business over others. But that's not really how capitalism works. Or should work.
So what do you mean by this?
What do I mean? All
Especially, a good example is more recent. We've heard a lot of people say shop small, which in and of itself isn't bad. And you should shop small. That's a hard one. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. You should consider shopping small. And we certainly spend money at what you'd consider small business, like a quote unquote mom and pop shop. But what do you mean by like, okay, you don't shop there at all? You can't shop at big businesses, or you should only shop at big businesses.
Here's what I mean. If you are shopping at a small business and they provide the same service or the same product for a higher price, what value are they adding to the economy? They have to do something different. In the scheme of things, okay, say you're looking for a specific toy. You could get it at Walmart for $10, or you could go to another location.
Your local toy store,
and they have it for $12. It's the exact same toy. And you can go to Walmart, buy that toy for cheaper, and get your groceries. Why would you go to the smaller toy store? Well, there's potentially a couple reasons. One is they have better customer service. Go to Walmart and try to ask the glorified robots that stock the shelves about a particular toy. Good luck.
And what you mean by glorified robot is not that these people are worthless or something. What you're saying is like in the business scheme of things that like ultimately they're being paid not to know the products on every shelf or even in a certain category. They're just there they're being paid to stock the shelves, or they're being paid, like the people you interact with typically on the floor aren't necessarily there because they're expert on said product. They're just there to help manage the flow of materials and people in and out of the store.
Yeah, they're doing something that robots could do. That's what I mean by robotic. They're opening boxes up, taking items out of a box, and putting them on a shelf. They don't really know much about those items. But if you go to
they're not being hired to put it on a certain shelf because they know that's where, like, that's the best place for that specific item. They're already being told to do that said item.
Yeah.
Or put that said item where, whatever.
So go to a smaller business that just sells toys, and you should expect to get a different experience because you're paying more. If you're not getting a better experience customer service wise, why are you going to that store? And I think some small businesses expect you to support them while they are providing the exact same service, or even in some cases a worse service at a higher cost. And that is illogical.
Mm-hmm.
As a small business, you are not going to be able to compete with the prices that Walmart offers. Walmart buys items from the distributor, the manufacturer,
by the bagajillions,
by the thousands of pallets. As a small business, you'll never have the money to compete with that.
Or storage space.
Yeah, you're
Potentially,
gonna be buying maybe one pallet, and you'll get a good deal on it compared to the end consumer, so that you can make money off it. But when Walmart buys hundreds of thousands of pallets, they're going to get a much better deal per item. That's just how it works. And it makes sense for the manufacturer and everyone in between. Here's an example. Our local grocery store is Fred Meyer. And they're one of those grocery stores that also has some clothing, some toys, some sporting goods, etc.
It's almost like a Walmart, almost.
Yeah.
They just don't stock as many of some of those items.
Yeah, they probably have more apparel than Walmart, but the other stuff they have less of. I recently have noticed this a few times, specifically in the toys category. Walmart will have a certain item for $10, and I'll go to Fred Meyer. Fred Meyer will have the same item, less variety, and at a higher price, usually about $2 more, $12. Why is that? Well, Fred Meyer has less physical space to sell and display the toys that they're selling than Walmart does. And they probably don't get as good a price from the distributor, and so they have to mark them at 12 in order to make whatever profit they're looking to make. The stuff still sells because people go to Fred Meyer to grocery shop. I would say they have a better grocery selection than Walmart does, and pretty competitive prices.
But the market for Fred Meyer and Walmart, even in themselves, is slightly different. Like, Walmart never offers coupons, whereas Fred Meyer does and has the rewards program. You know, you enter in your phone number and you get like X dollars off, or X coupons or whatnot. And so that market there and that strategy to target that market is different. And so Walmart says they have everyday low prices. That doesn't always mean they're the lowest price in town either. But Fred Meyer also gives you a discount, or a discount on gas, or a discount coupon for toys or whatnot. So there's like a little bit of adjustment there of why Walmart might say they give everyday low prices, whereas even Fred Meyer amongst themselves, they just give coupons out every now and then. Yeah. But their market is it's kind of like a one-stop shop. Like, you come in, you can not only get groceries, and not just any type, not just like, oh, you can only buy the essentials at Fred Meyer. You can buy a plethora of everything, any ethnicity of food, any style of health of food, like, the all natural organic versus just the junk food, I guess you'd call it. Yeah, like, there's like a huge plethora, whereas like you might even consider Whole Foods or a natural pantry, or maybe Trader Joe's too. Do they lump themselves in that category? I think. Yeah, probably. Like, they would go more towards like quality and health wise of the food versus like a Walmart Fred Meyer.
I think we're going down a rabbit trail and talking in a circle. So let me let's get at your market. Yeah, let me get at exactly what I'm trying to say. If you are charging more than your competitors, you need to offer a better customer service experience or something better in order to demand that extra dollar. And here's a really good example. So we sell on Amazon.com as professional third-party seller. I'm a professional.
You are.
I pay for that title. And in many cases, we are sourcing products using arbitrage. A lot of our inventory we don't get from wholesale distributors that we buy by the pallet. That's not how we get a good deal. We are getting them from places like Walmart and selling that item for more on Amazon. And how can we do that? Because we're providing the same product, but we're charging more. It's the customer service experience that allows us to demand a higher price, and the convenience. We're doing the work of going to Walmart or ordering from Walmart, inspecting the items, making sure they're good, and then utilizing Amazon's customer service platform, which is leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else.
Oh, for sure.
Amazon's entire business model is based around keep the customers happy so they come back and buy more. Customer is almost always right, even when they're wrong.
It's true, though. You try to contact them. They have somebody available to chat with you very quickly. They're always friendly. They're always like, oh, let me help you with that. Oh, let's find you a different product, or yeah, let's do the return, or oh, let's just give you a refund. There's never any like hassle. Whereas sometimes if you walk into Walmart and you want to return something, what happens? You got to go find the customer service. You got to walk into the store. Then you got to wait in line. And I wouldn't say like
find
I've
your
ever
receipt.
Find a receipt. Or if it's on your card, you got to scan your card, then you got to do this, that, and the other. I mean, I don't know if I've ever had a horrible experience with a customer service person at Walmart, so this isn't anything against them. But ultimately, though, that's not necessarily their market and their strategy towards targeting their market, which is having great customer service. No, what's their slogan? Everyday low prices. And they've got a plethora of items in their store. Like you come in and you can go shopping. And what I mean by shopping is like not just like in and out quick store. It's the like, oh, I don't know what to get. Let me go walk the aisles and see what I want to get for little Johnny's gift for his birthday, or Josiah's gift for his birthday, which I did not buy them at Walmart, but
Yeah, so we're able to demand a higher price by selling through Amazon because of that extra value the customer is getting by the ease of the transaction. It comes right to your door. You can order from home, you can order on your phone, whatever it might be. And depending on where you live in the country, you can get it same day, next day, 2 days.
That is insane.
Pretty
Same
incredible.
day.
And then if you're not happy with it, Amazon will make it right. Their customer service will make it right. Sometimes they just say, hey, we're sorry. We'll refund you. Don't worry about it. Keep it. What? There's not many businesses that do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty unique. And second, if it is an item that they say you need to physically return in order to get your refund, they will schedule and send a UPS driver straight to your house in many cases. They go, okay, tomorrow, just have it boxed up in the same box it came in. Tomorrow, someone from UPS will come and pick it up. They'll slap they'll bring the label and everything. You don't have to do anything. You just So it's the customer service experience and the reputation that comes along with that allows you to demand a higher price. Yeah, not everything on Amazon is the cheapest. In many cases, you can save a lot of money by doing a little more research and purchasing your items from other locations. It won't be as easy, and you're going to lose that customer experience, though. So that's what we're talking about in knowing your market. If you're going to charge more, you need to provide an equivalent amount of additional value. And maybe you sell items that are harder to find that Walmart doesn't stock. You have a specialty toy store that sells toys that are not quite as mainstream, not the cheap plastic stuff that Walmart sells. Maybe you sell collectible dolls that are harder to find. You're then putting yourself into a different market than the big boys that order pallets and pallets and pallets from China.
Well, and there too lies the other thing, which I guess we'll kind of talk about in the cash flow segment. But so I won't talk very much about it. It's just an idea of, you also need to know like your market. If you're gonna have the specialty toy store, you may not sell the same quantity as these big box stores because you're selling a handmade wooden toy or you're selling those collectible dolls. So naturally, like, you're not going to sell as many. So yeah, you ultimately sell them for a higher price.
Yeah.
Because they are better quality or they're collectible and all the other things. But it kind of transitions into, what about now, especially in America, well, especially in Alaska, coffee shops. Coffee shops are everywhere. Mm-hmm. And how in the world, like, they did not reinvent the wheel. Coffee's been around for a long time. How are there so many? And how can you go look on one side of the street, there'd be a coffee shop, and right across the street is another? How is that possible? Sometimes the same brand as well.
Yeah, here's my theory on it. I don't think any of those coffee shops are selling bad coffee or coffee that is significantly better than the others.
There are some places that don't sell exclusively just coffee, so maybe that's part of it, that sell not so great coffee.
Okay, so there are some that sell bad coffie.
But I think that's the point. They're not just a coffee shop.
But
if it's just a coffee shop, then they're not probably selling bad coffee.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. The little sheds on the side of the road that sell just coffee. There's not space in there for them to even make a sandwich.
You might be wondering, Josiah and Kelly, why did you just say shed on the side of the road? No, like, legitimately in Alaska, they're like little trailers. They're little sheds that like 1, 2, maybe 3 people are in, typically just 1 or 2, and they're selling coffee, and you drive up and there's windows on either side, like a to-go window. It's like this little thing, and you like drive through and get your coffee.
That's how you survive the darkness of winter.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Side note, I was in Eastern Europe years ago, and they had somewhat similar shacks. Much, much smaller. I'm talking a swivel chair could fit in there, and the cashier could spin on that swivel chair and probably not hit her knees on different products. But those little shacks sold tobacco, cigarettes, cigars, etc., tobacco products. Really interesting. Right on the side of the street.
Huh.
That's probably not even legal in America. I don't know.
Maybe.
Think like when you go to a big city like DC and there's the little food trucks or like some guy selling souvenir t-shirts like that, but they're selling cigarettes. And it's a more permanent structure, but really tiny.
Wow, really must be really popular.
Yeah, smoking, yes.
In Eastern Europe.
Yes.
Anywho, but like knowing your market with those like little shack coffee shops are what we'd consider. But even in the lower 48, even a lot of other places, coffee is popular. So how is that?
Well, yeah, what I was going to say is a lot of them probably use the same products or very similar. There's a couple roasters in town. They're very popular. And I know a lot of these coffee shops advertise they get their beans from those roasters. So it's the same raw ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about...
And they're not all owned by the same person.
I don't know much about the different syrups, but is it a hazelnut syrup's a hazelnut syrup. There's probably some that are better, but that's probably not what's making their coffee that much better. They all have the nice machines.
Sure.
That are let's just $5,000. They have essentially the same ingredients, the same equipment, but I think the difference is the customer service or the convenience of the location.
Yeah.
Location. You're going to stop at the coffee shack that's on the side of the road that matches up with your route on the way to work. you're going to have to really want to go to the other one when you have to make a U-turn.
Right. Yeah. Or go way out of your way, take an extra 5 minutes to get to work.
Yeah. So I think for those, the convenience is a big thing. And then there's the customer service, the interaction with the barista or whatever they call them.
Yeah, it's barista.
I think is a big part of it. We were with a friend sometime last year, went to get some coffee, and there was a particular coffee shack that he enjoyed going to because he enjoyed the interaction with the baristas there. They were, friendly.
They knew him by name.
They always remembered his order. And so I think that they probably, it was good coffee. It probably wasn't the best coffee in town. But he was loyal to that because of the customer experience.
Well, and another part too is like, okay, so you make a great point. It's like that interaction and that whatnot. But then let's take it another step further. What if it also has to do with, okay, let's say all their quality is pretty great, but one just takes it to the next level and has like just that nice quality whipped cream, that nice quality chocolate syrup like design on top. Whereas another one though, you don't really care about the whipped cream and all that. You just want your coffee fast. So you can get to work on time because you're always pulling in like just with enough time to spare. So there's some of that customer service as well of knowing your market in that area and when you get your most customers and what you're going for. Maybe you could be the fastest coffee shop on the street, but you don't want to be. Like you would rather have the best quality, you take your time, whatnot, with the extra whipped cream and the extra syrups and the extra pretty designs. Whereas this other place is like, oh no, we got the fastness covered.
Yeah, that definitely is part of knowing your market, what your customer is looking for. America is the land of convenience and impatience. Think about how long does it take to brew a pot of coffee? Not that long.
And
maybe 10 minutes.
Coffee pots that you can buy from the store to make your coffee pot at home is not very expensive. You can buy a cheap one that it does the exact same thing as the most expensive one.
Yeah, I saw some at Target on sale the other day. They were $8.84 for a Mr. Coffee 12 cup coffee maker. MSRP was $48.99.
Oh man.
Crazy, I remember that, huh?
$48.99.
Yeah, it was it was a nice coffee maker. But what I was getting at with the convenience is making coffee in a coffee pot is very inexpensive and pretty quick. I think I don't know, maybe I'll time it next time we make a pot of coffee. I think we're talking under 10 minutes.
I think it's 10 if you do the full.
Yeah.
Like it full all the way up to the top.
But what has become more popular in America than making coffee with a coffee pot? K-cups and all the similar variations of that. Why? The convenience and speed. It's not really, in many cases, better coffee. Mm-mm. I would think anyone who's a coffee connoisseur, I'm not really quite there, would probably say it's worse coffee. You're getting older beans that have been ground, they're a little stale. The temperature that the Keurig brews the coffee at isn't quite optimal. You're not getting the parameters that you need. You really need to do a bun, drip coffee pot maker, and you need to grind the beans fresh. And those beans need to have been picked within the last 3 months.
Right.
But people go for the K-cups, not because it's cheaper. You should go buy a Keurig. Just the machine itself is going to cost you quite a bit more than a regular coffee pot. And then on top of that, the little K-cups, they're pricey.
They are pricey.
They are pricey. In some cases, you're talking $1 per pod.
Mm-hmm. So, and there's but there's a market even with those products. Like if you make a coffee pot, a whole pot, you're guaranteeing like, okay, hopefully everyone drinks, let's say you're in an office setting. Like that's great if everybody likes the same style coffee, but some people don't, or some people like their coffee right when they walk in and others want it a little bit later. And so the K-pods might be great, or K-pods? What did I just say? K-pop, like Korean pop.
Oh no, Gucci, Hello Kitty.
So there's a target market too, right? Like those pods were made and started and became popular because of the quickness, or what presumed quickness of a quick like 1 cup of coffee. Whereas like if you want a whole coffee pot, you got to wait like 10 minutes. And sure, you like if you're going to make the whole thing, right? And then
nobody has 10 minutes. Get out of here. But you know what we do have time for?
But then
we don't have 10 minutes to brew a pot of coffee. We got 10 minutes to go get in line at Starbucks.
I know.
So they can brew it for you.
See, there's my next point is the next step from that is like not just selling a quick cup of coffee. Because like if you just make brewed coffee, that's different than espresso. So if you have an espresso maker at home, or if you go get your espresso from, one of these coffee shops, that is like way different. I mean, it's not that much different, but it is different in the way that like you make it. And so that's the other part. Maybe it's just a lack of knowledge of how to make it at home yourself, or they don't want to spend the money on one of those machines for their own home. And so, you go and get it because it can make better coffee than like a coffee bought at home.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with eating out or getting coffee at the coffee shack on your way to work. What we're getting at is the differences in the market. There's a coffee customer that just wants it fast and cheap. They don't care so much about the quality. It just needs to be hot. Maybe 2 sugars and a cream. That's your McDonald's coffee customer.
Yeah.
Then there's a customer, they don't care how long it takes. They're there for the experience, the atmosphere, the customer service. And whatever that cream foam stuff on top of the coffee is, it better look nice. It better be a heart or a puppy dog or a leaf. And I'll pay $15 for it and I'll wait 20 minutes. They're there for those are different customers, and there's a plethora in between. So when you are running a business, thinking about starting a business, what is your customer? What does your customer want? How can you set yourself out from your competition? Is Walmart your competition? It shouldn't be. You're going to lose. You need to make yourself different. Put yourself in a different market. Get a different type of customer. That's how you win in capitalism.
Yeah, I mean, and you can know this, that typically people can be very loyal to certain brands, sure, but I could go shop at toys at Walmart and then also go to my local toy store and be giving just as much money to our community and to those people that are working locally than, exclusively only shopping at our local toy store, which is totally fine to do if you want to do that. Like, we're not saying like anti small business or even anti big business though either. We just are very much for any style of business. You just got to know your market there.
Yeah, if you have the money and in a way want to be philanthropic, that
was a good big word, honey.
I'm pretty sure I butchered that.
Tropical?
You know the thing. You know the thing. I pledge allegiance.
Oh, man.
We hold the philanthropy. If you want to be a philanthropist.
I don't know where we're going at this. Go back, backtrack. If you feel like spending your money at a small shop.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
And you have the money for it, you want to do that, it's fine.
You are on a budget, don't have extra spending money, there's nothing wrong with going for the cheapest or the one that gives the best service or customer experience that you're comfortable with. You don't you're not a bad person if you don't shop at the small business. If they don't meet your needs financially, service-wise, they don't sell the color that you want. I think we ran into that. We went to a small business in the area looking for a baby accessory.
Oh, right.
And they had it, and it was, I think, a little bit more expensive than if we purchased online.
Yeah,
and
but we would have gotten it that same day.
We would have gotten it, but they didn't have the color we wanted.
Yeah.
So they lost our money right there. They offered the same item that we could order online, but with less variety and at a higher price. And
we would have spent it. We probably would have bought it there if they had the color.
Yeah, but they didn't have the exact item we wanted. They had similar. And I'm sure they certainly sell those items. They just lost us as a customer for that particular transaction. So keep that in mind if you're a business owner or want to start a business. How do you make your business stand out among others? What are you offering that brings value beyond your competition?
Yeah. Don't think that you have to be a Walmart to succeed, but don't think you also have to reinvent the wheel and invent this new product, item, service that's never been done. Or you can. You don't have to try to compete with the big businesses, and you don't have to try to reinvent the wheel or invent something new is what I'm getting at. Yeah. You can find something like a coffee shop if you really want to sell coffee, and just find your niche market. Find that best location. Find the people that would love to spend their money at your amazingly crafty, whipped, heart-shaped, leaf-shaped, unicorn-shaped whipped topping on top.
Yep. And we're not experts. I can make coffee. I don't have a coffee shack. Maybe in the future we will.
That'd be kind of fun.
But that is our opinion, having some experience as business owners.
And shopping at businesses.
But I think that transitions, we're very good at spending money.
Speaking of spending money,
especially with your business, let's talk about cash flow. And this is a good transition. We were just talking about, in a way, competing with big businesses like Walmart. Well, what is Walmart able to do that small businesses aren't? They're able to sell products at a very low ROI, return on investment, because they sell thousands and thousands and thousands.
Yes. And
they sell them quickly. Their goal is to move product quickly and not necessarily make as much profit as they can on each item. Look at a place like Costco. Their products are always changing. They order a limited quantity of X product, and their goal is to move it as quickly as possible at a price that makes them money. And if it's not moving, they start marking it down. If you're a Costco shopper, you can look that up. The like 99 cents or 39 cents. I can't remember what it is, but depending on what those numbers are, it can kind of tell you whether, okay, they just got this in. This is a marked down item. They're trying to get rid of this item, and they're not going to stock it anymore. And so savvy shoppers can take advantage of that. But what I'm getting at is cash flow. And you gotta get your money to work for your business. In that, if you're moving inventory, if you're selling a physical product or good, yes, you want to get the most money you can for it, to an extent, because you are in a way losing money if your capital is tied to that product for months and months and months and months. If you have 10 of an item and you can sell them for $100, but at that price you're only going to sell one a month, it's going to take you close to a year to get your capital back. Now, if you have 10 of an item, the exact same item, and you mark it down to 90, you're making a little less money, but you're going to sell 2 per month. So in half the time, you'll get that capital back and can then go and, hey, check this out, actually buy 10 more of that exact same unit and sell those 10 as well. And you're actually making more money by focusing on your cash flow, money in and out, and not having your money tied to a product that's sitting on the shelf waiting for a customer.
Right.
So, and this is something that we are discovering in our Amazon business, and it depends on what kind of product you're selling.
Even personal life. We can talk about this with our personal. So, especially because now we have a membership to Costco. But not just Costco. We've done this with other stores too. When you buy the multi-pack, the variety pack, the bulk pack, and it's got more of that product, and so it's cheaper per ounce, cheaper per item, cheaper per pound, whatever. You sure end up saving money, but you also have to factor in the time, but specifically with this one, the amount of space that item is now taking up. So, for instance, you had a great example. This one time, saved money, we needed ketchup. It was already at Costco. I was like, oh, wow. They had like a good deal on ketchup. But you bought 3 bottles. I think it was 3, if not 4. 3 bottles of big bottles of ketchup.
Yeah, like quart size.
Right. Like, you're not like the little bitty guys, like the big dudes, and you got like 3 of them. Well, that's great. But we personally in our family and currently in our season of life do not go through ketchup at that quantity and rate very quickly. So it was, it's not a huge deal that we got it, but we now realize after the fact, because it wasn't just that item. We've done this with plenty of other items that, well, sure, it saved us money in the long run, but now we have to store it, keep it, move it around if it needs to be moved or whatever with the item. And now we have to deal with that all the time.
Yeah, what it came down to specifically with that ketchup and some other similar items that we bought in bulk, it wasn't a budget issue. We had the money to buy it in that quantity. We were going to use the stuff over time, but we have limited storage. And so is saving 25 cents. Ketchup is cheap.
Per bottle, yeah.
Ketchup is cheap. Yes, we saved money. But is the 50, 75 cents that we saved overall
even $3
worth storing almost a gallon of ketchup for 6 months? I don't know how long it'll take us to go through all that ketchup.
I don't know either.
But we potentially saved, I don't know, $1, but now have our limited space taken up by ketchup, lots of ketchup for a while. So is it worth it? And you got to look at it in the same way with your business. Many businesses, probably their limiting factor is the finances, and you need the consistent cash flow. You can't afford to tie your capital up in a product and then just have it sit there for months and months and months and months. Mm-hmm. Why do places even like Walmart slash the prices to get rid of it? Mm-hmm. Some of it's probably capital driven so that they can, right, even like the day of Christmas, they mark that stuff down to 75% off. They want it out of the store. Mm-hmm. They don't care about making money anymore. They're trying to cut their losses for what they overbought and free up shelf space. That's the next thing I wanted to talk about is shelf space. Many businesses, including ours, you have limited storage space. So if you fill that storage space up with stale inventory, it'll sell eventually. But we just filled up our entire, hypothetically, we just filled up our entire storage space with Christmas products. We spent all of our money on discount Christmas products and fill up all our storage on discount Christmas products. Christmas stuff isn't going to sell, at least not consistently, for another 10 months.
Right.
So, yes, you can make a lot of money. I think seasonal products is a great example of this. And I've done this in the past. I bought
Maybe not 10 months for now, but yeah, sure.
Okay. Well,
I get your
it's
point.
March now. Hypothetically, you buy stuff in January.
8 months, yeah.
So,
sure.
I've done this with summer products. I bought some large mosquito-based summer products at the end of the season for great price.
It was a great deal.
Great price. And there was no question about making profit on them. The problem was they took up a lot of space. And at the time, there wasn't a lot of capital in the business. And so it took up a lot of capital. And it took me probably about 8 months to sell those and get that money back. Yes, I made a profit, but it took me 8 months to make that profit.
So was
how
it
much more
worth it at that
profit
point?
could I have made if I had been able to turn that inventory much quicker, have that money back as well as that storage space back? So that's what we're getting at. Think about your cash flow. Here's another example.
And when you talk about cash flow too, don't forget, like, think about when you're spending the money on whatever. I mean, don't be like so anti-risk taking too that you just don't move and don't buy anything and don't do whatever. What we're saying is here, just be mindful of the fact that these items could take up more of your time and physical space dealing with them.
Yeah. So here's another example. If you have the capital and the storage, long-term, like seasonal stuff, is a great business model. You can make a lot of money from it. And for us, we started the Amazon business primarily with used books. Used books, they sell great. There's great margins, depending on where you get them and what topics. But sometimes they take a long time to sell.
Mm-hmm.
I've had books sit in our inventory for over a year and then finally sell. Or sit there for 6 months and then finally sell. And especially with books, they are in a bit of a seasonal product. Book sales skyrocket around the beginning of the school year or college semesters. So there's kind of two points in the year where book sales spike up. So we started the business with that, and we're growing inventory, but it's a slower return. You need a really big amount of inventory in order to have consistent sales.
Right.
We still do books. It's not the entirety of the business anymore. We focus on other categories that sell quicker to have a quicker return and to flip it faster so we can get that money back and move on to the next product. Things like toys.
So I have liked personally, when we've had these conversations before, and when we were originally figuring that out with the books, how we started talking in percentage of the money you have, specifically with the business, percentage of the storage space you have, percentage of the, we'll just say inventory in general, that you want to focus on certain ideas. And this could apply to your personal life, which I guess we'll talk about in a second. But how much money do you find reasonable? This is a hypothetical, just a hypothetical question.
7.
Thank you. How much money do you, percentage of money, do you want to focus on an item or items that are more long-term, that sit on your shelf longer, sit in storage longer, might be listed for a little bit longer, but you potentially get more ROI out of it, like more return on your investment.
Yeah.
So you've got to take that into effect. You might have the business model of all of it being like that. That we've actually interacted with people that do that, and they do fine. You just need to know it's going to be a longer term game, or you don't see those fruits and the benefits to that until months, if not years later. So you gotta play a percentage game. Do I want 100%, 80%, 20% of my inventory sitting on the shelf playing the long-term game? Totally willing to do it with some of these items. That's fine. No, I'd rather just have more of it going towards quick sales. It's just really up to you. And you gotta factor in not just money, what money you want to spend on long-term items versus short-term items. You've got to factor in storage space, how much of it, because like a long-term item that only takes up a foot of space, like you're like, okay, no big deal. But a long-term item that takes up like 3 shelves worth of your 12 shelf like inventory setup, like, ooh, that kind of can become a little much.
Yeah.
And then, naturally, if you have, you will have a limit on the amount of storage and money you have. So you just need to process those things. Like if you have a 1 million square foot storage place, great. Use it all to the best of its ability, but you're still limited to 1 million square feet. You can't start going outside of that. So you just got to think along those lines.
Exactly, and there's no right or wrong answer. Every business is unique. Every business model is a little different. But yeah, I've been to different retail stores that have shelves and shelves of a certain product that I can tell as a customer isn't necessarily a great product, and it's not selling well. And they'll be like, "Oh, it's on clearance." Like clearly they want to get rid of it because it's not selling well and it's taking up space. But they're like, 10% off. It's like,
dude, just get rid of it at this point.
What
was that one? What was that one from Target?
If it was marked down more, I bet you that shelf would get cleared off. They'd get their money back, even if they lose some, and they could move on to whatever the next product is to sit on that shelf.
What was that one from Target?
Yeah,
you ended up showing on your social media.
Yeah.
We walked by and we were like, "Oh, that looks cool. Maybe we'll get that."
Right after Christmas, these little ambulance toys, toy cars for children with, it looked like a cool toy. Then I walk up and it's like, oh, it's got some blinky lights and buttons and sirens. And so I press the button and it is the most obnoxious, horrendous siren you've ever heard.
It was so bad. You turned it on.
That's why that hasn't sold.
Yeah, we were like, nope, not getting it.
There are many toys that make noises that drive parents insane, and those are just normal noises.
Like the batteries somehow get lost from that toy item. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, weird, it broke.
This one, and I think that it was cheap. It was cheap. Target had marked it down to like 80, 75, 80%
They had
off.
so many
of those things,
it was
maybe like a $7 item to begin with, and it was about $1. So that's why I was like, oh, check this out. We don't need an ambulance, but it's $1. But then when I pressed that button, no.
It's not worth $1.
I walked away. And
you couldn't pay me $1 to take that thing. You couldn't pay me.
Yeah, and it was clear that they had tons and tons. They had hundreds right there on the shelf. Who knows how many more in the back. Now, what's really interesting, and I find this hilarious, Goodwill in our area has some sort of relationship with Target specifically to get their overstock clearance stuff that Target doesn't want anymore. So, garbage products like that ambulance that Target couldn't even sell for $1 end up at Goodwill.
Yes.
So now Goodwill, and I went by there. This was right after Christmas that we saw them at Target. I went by Goodwill just earlier this week, and guess what's still there on their shelf? They still have those little ambulances sitting there, and they're They always try to sell stuff for more than Target tries to sell it on clearance, which is interesting to me.
It is interesting.
Sometimes it works because they have a different market. And sometimes Target clearance stuff is kind of hard to find. Maybe people would have bought it, but it was a little hidden in the store. So, Goodwill, a used thrift store, at least the one in our area, is now becoming the secondhand Target store.
It really is.
Brand new products, shelves and shelves of them. Stuff that didn't sell at Target, and now Goodwill has the audacity to charge more than Target was trying to charge. You see, when you first walk into Target...
Not MSRP, though.
Sometimes they do. When you walk into Target and they have that little section of $5 items.
Yes, the $1 to $5. Yeah, $1, $3, and $5 or something like that.
Little gizmos and gadgets. In general, cheap junk. Some of it's,
a lot, very
cute
seasonal
and functional.
Very seasonal.
They always print the price right on the cardboard packaging.
Yeah.
$3, $1, $2, $5. I have seen shelves and shelves of that stuff at Goodwill, and Goodwill tries to charge the exact same price or higher.
No,
it's like, okay, that so is bad. A somewhat functional whiteboard that is 3 inches by 3 inches that Target couldn't sell for $4, and you're trying to charge $3.99. You're trying to charge $4.99.
Yikes!
Okay, and those products take up lots of space because they probably get pallets of them from Target. They take up a lot of space on the shelves. And they sit there for months and months and months. And over time, some do sell. They are selling them. But then they disappear. And I think that's either it finally comes time for the yellow tags to be 75% off, so they're a price that equals the value of the product. Or eventually, if stuff doesn't sell, Goodwill pulls it off the shelf and then, throws it away. Gives it to Salvation Army. I don't know their exact business model. Yeah. But even in that case, when I don't know their deal with Target, they could be getting that merchandise for free or very low cost. It's still taking up space. That's preventing them from putting other stuff out.
Yes, and that's hurting their cash flow.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have an item that is taking up space for months and months, that means you can't sell another item that could potentially sell. So that's a long rabbit trail.
Here's some practical tips for somebody maybe that's looking for a concept like this in their personal life, having nothing to do with business. If you decide to buy bulk items, totally fine. Just realize your cash flow. Do you want to spend the extra $5, $6, $7, $10, $15, $20 on that item because you want the quantity? Or can you just spend the $2 and make it work? Could you just, you got to realize your cash flow there as well. Obviously this is saying beyond budgeting. Right? This is going into okay, I've budgeted $50 or $100 for whatever item or type of item or groceries or whatever. How do I break this cash flow down? Potentially, right, you're not going to make money from your groceries, but you're trying to save money for the long run. And so how much do you want to end up storing or putting in potentially more in your way? And how much room do you have at your house? All of those types of concepts there.
Yeah, taking up space in your house or your storage does have a cost. So look at what do you pay for rent or for your mortgage and divide that by the square footage a bottle of ketchup takes up. You might decide it's negligible.
Yeah.
You might decide you have the extra space. But I think in some people's case, like ours,
we're limited to what we've got.
We would rather use that space for something else.
Yeah. Well, another concept too, to keep in mind, which I think we brought up before. Maybe was it last episode or the episode before? You got to think in terms of when you go shopping at a store, especially grocery stores, but because those tend to be more frequent. It's okay if you don't end up saving the $1 on that one item. If a gallon of milk is 20 cents more expensive at the store you're already at, and you decide, okay, I'm going to go to the other store to save the 20 cents on the 1 gallon of milk, is that worth it in the gas that you spend to go there? Now, I'll say this. If you're buying 20 gallons of milk at a time, okay, that might be worth it. But if you're buying, one item and it might save you 10 cents, you might just consider just doing the one-stop shop instead of the multiple routes just to get a few products. Now, I'll add, Costco just went there and we're out of eggs. Well, I'm not going to buy eggs from Costco. Okay. They come in 5 dozen. We don't have room for 5 dozen eggs, nor will we eat through 5 dozen eggs quickly enough. Well, I mean, we could boil some and whatnot, but that's not the point. The point is being like, okay, you got to balance those things and go, okay, even though, it's a few dollars more and I don't want to drive to another store, I'm also not going to buy 5 dozen eggs either. So there's some balance there.
But if you're looking to egg your neighbor's house,
oh my goodness,
go to Costco.
No, that's terrible. Don't egg people's houses. You don't do that. Somebody's going to be like, what's egging somebody's house?
What about egging a person?
Oh, that's terrible. That's like that one.
To wrap it up. The food fight one.
Yeah.
But to wrap it up, here's a funny story. When I was in college, there was a guy that I think he lived in my dorm, and he was trying to fundraise some money for something, and so he got everyone together and was like, hey, for $1 per egg, you can throw an egg at me.
Stop.
Yeah, $1 per egg. He might have gotten 5 dozen eggs. He probably would have saved money if he went to Costco for that event.
Oh my goodness.
And $1 per egg, or maybe he charged more. I don't remember, but the thrill of throwing an egg at someone.
Oh,
if you haven't done it,
why?
You should try.
And you guys were pegging it at him, weren't you?
Oh yeah. Oh, the dude had welts. There was a baseball player that walked by.
Stop.
That I think one of my buddies knew, and my buddy pulls out a $10 bill. It's like, hey, I'll buy you a dozen eggs. Destroy this guy.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know why I started talking about that, but I think that's
the eggs.
I think that's
that's
the conclusion of our episode there. I think.
Yeah. If it's worth it to you to spend $10 on a dozen eggs so you can throw them at somebody, maybe just go ahead and do it.
Yeah. When it comes to knowing your market and cash flow, we are by no means experts, but these are things that we've discovered in our business, and as we understand our business more and look at other businesses and try to dissect their business model, their market, and how they do things. So it's really interesting to think about. Some of this stuff will and may never affect our personal business, but it's given us a better understanding as we dissect it of businesses around us and how they make money and how they operate, which then in turn gives us different ideas that we utilize for our own personal life. That's the conclusion.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed it.
It's always a good conclusion when you have to say it's a conclusion because you're not sure.
Oh goodness. I like your conclusion because that was the conclusion. If you liked the conclusion or the entire episode, let us know. Comment, give us a 5-star review.
Yelp.
On Yelp. No, on the podcast host that you're listening through. Or comment on our Instagram. Send us a direct message there. Check out our YouTube channel. Oh, Instagram. At jellybagel_AK is Kelly.
At
Nagel.
baconbagel_AK.
Is Josiah Nagel.
I posted on my story. If you're not following me, you missed out. A fire recipe that I made the other night.
It was so hysterical. I was crying.
Picture this. A pizza roll inside a pizza roll.
You're ridiculous. It was actually kind of basically what he made.
And it was delicious. Mm-hmm. So good.
So check us out on YouTube, Entrepreneur Nagel. It's our channel name. And if you're watching on YouTube and want to check us out on the podcast, check us out on our podcast. Any podcast hope, wherever you like to listen. That's episode 15. That sums it up, I guess.
Yeah. That's it.
Happy Wednesday. Bye.